Let's get going.
I'm sorry, what was that, Ryan? You wanted to say something that we didn't? Okay. Well, hey there, beautiful listeners. Welcome back inside the sound. This is Michael.
And this is Ryan.
And
this is Suzanne.
Suzanne! Woo! Welcome back. We're quite pleased to have you return to us.
Welcome back.
For your historic third episode. Is that crowd noise coming through? Just, we're working new fixes to the technology problems here. You hearing
all
that?
All kinds of technology problems.
I know. Yeah,
I did hear it.
Okay, good. Good, because I need a few more seconds. I'm just saying the crowd's excited. They're excited to have you here. We're excited to have you back. Okay, I think that works. Woo.
The ending was great. It's kind of strange.
Strange?
What was that? It was like fizzled out in a very
that was
obscure way.
The worst crowd noise, the most pathetic noise ever. But it worked, is the point. And eventually we'll find a better clip, and it'll get better with time, as many things do. Like a fine wine, ages with time. So does my performance on the job. So.
Yeah, we kind of have reached that point with it where we ask ourselves, how long are we going to run with this bit? Is it still funny? Is it worthwhile?
I don't know what. There's no bits here. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here to get it right, and I'm going to get it right until the end of time. That's just how I roll, man. I don't know what.
I thought you screwing up all those times was a bit that you were doing.
I don't screw. How dare you? First off. Second, I don't appreciate the insinuation that I'm screwing up. I perfectly executed the crowd.
I did like the
crowd noise. Suzanne heard it. It's on. It's on the record.
Yeah, it was very impressive.
Thank you, Suzanne. And you're correct. Also, thank you for your correct statement. Your astute statement.
It was like a droid powering down, or like if you were to kill a cyborg, like the last noise that it would make.
That's pretty funny, man. I got to give you, jokes, bits. You're the funny guy.
That's a good word.
Guy. It is it's a good bit. Good bit. A little bit. So, Suzanne, welcome back. It's cool of you to take the time to join us. We had our own technical difficulties, didn't we? Getting
myriad of technical difficulties.
Yeah. But
they were entertaining in some weird way, though.
It was hilarious. It was fun.
It's fun.
And now things are working, which makes us happy, makes everybody happy. Makes beautiful listeners happy, right? They love it. I'm sorry. I'm still upset about the crowd noise thing. It's not perfect yet, and it bothers me that I haven't. And Ryan's comments don't help. I just, it just weighs down on me every time. He's got to make some kind of complaint.
If there's a fire, I'm going to pour gasoline. I apologize. Just the way I operate.
It is the way you operate. Yeah.
So how is that that cloudy, stormy weather treating you? Some people
beautiful.
Do you prefer the clouds? Some people say that it gets them depressed, but for some weird reason, I like it better.
I love rain. I like rain a lot. I don't think I could handle rain like constantly, but I really like the rain. So it's been nice.
We don't get it very often, so.
This year we have. This summer has been fantastic for rain, monsoon summer. It's been legendary. I don't think I've ever seen the mountain this green. 20 years. Have you?
Why do clouds make people depressed? Is sunlight really that important?
Sidestep my question.
I think it is.
I haven't really stared at the mountain.
We need to, Ryan. Live a little.
I don't stare at the mountains.
Live a little.
I don't have a little notebook where I keep track of what color they are.
You don't even know what street you're on half the time, man. You don't know what you're doing. You're not looking around, look at the sky. It's a great, big, beautiful world of ours. Okay. All right. Sorry. Just said my piece.
That's why I don't leave my house, because I have no idea how to find my way back.
Yeah, GPS is crucial. We're done now, Suzanne. Apologize for the distraction.
Oh, no worries.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it seems like the rain is the rain is the rain. Yeah. Too much of it would be too much, and too little of it is definitely not good either.
Right.
It's just the right amount.
Variety is a good thing.
Can be.
Can be. We were flipping through your book here. Seems to be a variety there. Seems to be a lot to take in.
Yeah. Each chapter, I suppose, is a bit different. Strange for me to read back. Like I said, I wrote it a bit ago. So it's strange to read it. It's very strange to be putting it out there again. So the second edition will be out sometime this season, or this upcoming season in fall, I would think. But it will basically be a series, because I have like multiple books, and then I'm working on new things. Also kind of working on things that are not just poetry. So yeah, there's lots of things, but there will be a series of poetry books. I figure I should just probably put them out there. But I wanted to refine the first book. So what you guys have is not what's going to be released. I'm taking out like quite a few of those poems, I think. Yeah.
How
this is like a rare edition. I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
Oh, it's a rare edition.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
No, it is. Yeah, the first edition. It was released on Kindle for I think a week, and I like took it down. It was just way too heavy on me. I had to take it down. It was like messing up my health. It was like I definitely gave birth to it like way too soon, and I was like, it's not going to make it. No, I'm just joking, but like. Yeah, no, it needed some like more love or something. So I just took it back. And yeah, it was a premature like birth for sure. So yes, it will be released with a different cover too. So like the cover you guys have is, I don't think I'm going to use it for the second edition. But yeah, you guys have very rare copy. Very rare PDF.
Yeah, I find that interesting that it was a week. It was out for a week.
Yeah, it was like
it was affecting your health. Can you elaborate a little bit on that connection?
It was just, it just didn't feel right. I wasn't, feeling what I should have been feeling after a launch. It was just not ready. And with anything, like being a creator, an artist, I don't want things to define me. And that was a huge part of why it was so heavy on me. I didn't want things in my past to define me. A lot of that material, it was a lot of emotions that I had to get out of me. So I wrote, but I didn't want it to define me either. So a few of those poems are going to be taken out of the book for that peace of mind for me. And they may be released at some point. but yeah, it's quite a long poetry book, so it will still have a substantial like amount of pages for the second edition, but I just wanted to, refine it a little bit more, give it a little bit more nutrients before it like edits again.
It sounds like there might have been a handful or whatever of poems that you don't want to be public consumption, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to read it, or everyone who reads it is going to have their own, view of what it could mean. It's all very vague, but there were a couple in there that I didn't want to let them go. So I'm going to take them out. Like I said, they may appear in another book. I have multiple books of poetry, and some of them share poems. Like some of the poems that are in this first book will be in another book too. It depends on the theme, kind of. Like this book, each chapter is a little bit of a different mood versus the other books. The theme and mood is pretty consistent through the whole book. So, and this I wanted to be like a little bit of a precursor for people. They can read it, and if they like what they see, then they can, get the next book and so forth.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, Suzanne. I mean, just getting to scroll through this and kind of understanding. Well, first off, it also puts your social, like your whole Instagram, everything clicked for me instantly. I was like, I get it now.
Really?
Like,
what
yeah,
do you mean by that?
Well, like some of the things you'll post are just so vague. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just like, they're abstract in a way. And I was like, I wonder what she's up to with this. Like, what is this? I don't know. It's like, it pulls you in, like it's content, right? It's visually, okay, it's stimulating. It's like the color red, or you'll do some kind of static thing, or, you know what I mean? Or like a hang up disconnect sound on the video. It's like a brief half a second thing. And you're like, what is going on here? And then as you flip through the pages of this thing, it's like, it's like, I mean, I'm not holding the book, but it's like this physical thing, that, it's like there's this connection. There's a little aha, little click that went off for me as I started scrolling through. And I was like, man, I wish, so I wanted more time. I was like, man, I can't wait to dive through this. Cause it was just fascinating. That connection was just made so quickly for me. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's hard to explain. I hope that's making sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm pleased to hear that like the vagueness is so noticeable. That's kind of how I am.
That's kind of how I am.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I've learned I'm pretty vague. But yeah, I mean, I feel that sometimes things can be like, like too complicated. I feel like the vagueness, I don't know, it can either work against me and complicate things, or it leaves more to the imagination. It makes you think more, but yeah, that's just how I am.
That's how I feel. It seems like it gives your brain the opportunity as the consumer of the art to like it beautifully will fill in these gaps, and it becomes yours. It's very powerful, and you do it very well. Just a little bit I've been able to read some of these phrases and some of these little stanzas. It instantly, it's very visual. And so in my brain, I go, oh, I see this in my head. It's fascinating. Like it's almost an involuntary response. Actually, that's why like scrolling through, I was kind of like, well, it's like a punch in the gut, really. I mean, I was like, dang, it's interesting. I want more time with it. It's cool.
Thank you. I'm glad it felt like a punch to the gut, because I'm pleased to hear that as well.
There's nothing wrong with vague, though.
No, not at all.
For me, there's an extra layer of entertainment value in vague, at least for me.
Yeah, I gotta ditto, man. I really just, it's fun because again, it gives the person, well, it's funny because I think of lyrics this way too, like song lyrics. I enjoy song lyrics that they paint sort of a picture. They kind of spell out a story necessarily, but they don't fill in all the gaps. You know,
Yeah.
and I do like some songs that will fill in the gaps too. It's fine too. But like, you know what I mean? Like you're consuming it and you're not quite sure. You hear the words, you understand the lyrics, but it's like you don't really know what it meant necessarily. And again, just like with this poetry, it's like you get to assign your own meaning to it. You know, that's what another thing I love about music as an art form. It's like that. Like music is an art form that just, it pulls us in and it draws us in like this. And it's you know, it's so individual to each person, their preferences, you know?
Yeah.
That's a fascinating
I
thing
do
about
feel
art.
like, pardon?
Oh, continue.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I do feel like some of my prose and whatnot could be lyrics. So I think that was an interesting comparison. I do feel like that could be a thing.
Yeah, and actually, no, I mean 100%. And as someone who I've spent a lot of years of my life writing lyrics, there's a certain, I don't know what is the poetry? Yeah, iambic pentameter. I don't know the official word for it, whatever it's called. I don't know if I'm even getting that right. But there's a beat, you know, like a musical beat. And so when you read it in your head without any pitch, you just hear the words, right, like spoken, and you read it out loud, and it's just like it fits. Like there's a da 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 da, you know, whatever that is, right? And as I've read through that, just again, I didn't skimming through, that's there. Like yeah, I know. I had Claire just skimming through. I know. Don't laugh at me, Ryan. I heard you laugh. Yeah, you could hold it in. I was like, yeah, I know. It's cool. But yeah, I agree with you, Suzanne. I think you could, and like some of the words rhyme in the right way for a lyric. Cause I like that too. I like words that aren't necessarily, if you read them out loud, they don't really rhyme if you read them correctly, but then it's like the word again, you can sort of twist it to fit. And it's like almost like a pun, but in a musical way. Words are funny like that. And you've done that very expertly through the few stanzas I've got to read through here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's strange for me to read it now. It's been so long since I wrote it. It's very strange to be releasing it again. It's quite uncomfortable, but it kind of needs to just be done. So yeah, you guys get to kind of get a taste of it before others.
What is most uncomfortable about it? Is it remembering where you were at when you first wrote it, or how you would have done it differently, maybe? I'm curious.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both, perhaps. I was just very vulnerable and very open about a lot of my feelings where I now would not be. So it's almost a little embarrassing for me to read some of it, but in its vagueness, you know, it leaves a lot up to interpretation unless you are somebody that the poem is perhaps about. You're not really going to know that. And like a lot of my musings for this book, I would not use as a muse now. So it's a little strange, but it was, you know, at the time it served its purpose, all of that. So, yeah, but it's just different than how I would now look at those situations and things, you know. And I was just in such a different place in my life and my approach to things. And, you know, I wrote it during COVID, like during the whole isolation pandemic. So I was just in a different state of mind, just fueling myself in a different way. And it was just like a creative, like volcano or something. And I just started writing again. And then, yeah, it just kind of happened. And so when I read it, I guess it kind of takes me back to that time. And like, you know, for me, it might be a little difficult, but for the reader, obviously, they're not going to have any of that kind of context or anything. But so, yeah, it's just difficult for different reasons. I feel like that's kind of normal for a lot of artists after they kind of leave an era or a time in their creative journey. You know, to look back at your past work is a bit strange, especially to be re-releasing it. It's a bit strange, but it just didn't sit right with me. You know, when I at first released it, I wanted to kind of refine it a little bit more. You know, I guess I wish I had spent a little bit more time before the launch. So I just, you know, it's all very strange to go back to.
It's a fascinating thing that whether it be, you know, written words or music, I think for the artist it's always going to be kind of a diary of the moment in some way. Like, I don't think you can create art sincerely without having a part of yourself in that moment become attached to it.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that way.
Do you find that to be the case, Michael?
It's like a snapshot.
Yeah,
it's the word I'd use, like a photograph. You know, do you ever like look back at an old photograph of yourself? And you're like, who the hell was I? I'm not that person anymore. You know? And it's like the way you're describing, it's like, it's strange.
Very similar.
Yeah. It's like surreal. But I feel it, the way you're describing, Suzanne, like really, it resonates with me because I look at, there are definitely songs like that I've written that it has the same effect on me that you're, at least in terms of the way you're describing it, I feel that way about some of my old songs. And so, I mean, I still can play and perform many of my older music, but there's some that I just don't play. And it's just, and it's not that I don't like them even, I would say, or I don't like necessarily think they're bad or anything, or, you know, I could be critical if I wanted to, but like I could have lots to say, you know, if I really wanted to beat myself up, I guess, but I like being like, I like, you
know what, not to interrupt, but
no, yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, but I just like the
value. Could you play the one that is the most cringeworthy for you inside for us? Could you perform one verse of the song?
I'm going to turn off my video, grab the guitar, plug in. Yeah, sure. You want me to do that?
Only
does Suzanne really want me to do that?
I mean, go for it. We're being candid.
Okay, here we go.
Because I also wanted you, Suzanne, to read one of your poems for us.
Oh no. Okay.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, Michael, this has to be the one that makes you cringe the hardest.
Oh no.
I'm glad.
No, I'm not going to read you a cringy one though.
I'm glad that he's down to do this too, you know?
No, Suzanne, that's, just to be clear here, that's my rule. You do not have to do the cringe thing, but I accept your challenge, sir. I will. You know, I have one in mind.
As much as I give Michael crap, you know, he's always down to do stuff.
I'm gonna play a song that I haven't played for. I'm cutting over you, man. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna play a song that's like 15 years old at least. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Is this the certifiable most cringeworthy one for you to play inside?
I think he said he's gonna be right back.
Oh boy. Yeah, you don't have to read it. You don't have to read the one that makes you feel cringe inside. You can read whatever poem that you'd like to showcase here.
Okay.
Well, he's taking this seriously now. He's probably setting up the lights and
Oh yeah.
went into the bathroom to warm up. Wow. He just disappeared. Is he like changing his wardrobe too? What's going on here?
I really hope so.
I do too. Maybe makeup. I don't know.
I really hope he just comes like out like a different person.
What do you really hope?
That you come out like in full like glam.
Splashed on some glitter.
Oh, glam. I
You
wish.
Yeah.
divulged that.
If I had thought of that, I would have done that. It took me long enough just to find the guitar and, pull it out of the closet and
Don't make
get it
me
all.
regret this. Okay, you're belaboring the hell out of this.
Oh,
Give me a second. Goodness gracious. Belaboring. How dare you? How dare you? I don't even know if this is going to come through.
Oh my God, you're gonna tune on air too?
Absolutely. So you can hear me tune is what you're saying.
You can't hit mute while you do that?
Just can you hear me? Yeah, yes or no?
This was a bad idea. You know what? Never mind. Don't do it.
Okay, sure.
I'd rather
No
hear
problem. No
or
problem.
mute while you tune. How about
How
that?
dare? Don't tell me how to live my life.
Suzanne, do you have a poem in mind that you could maybe read while he's
I do,
tuning?
but I want to hear his song first.
Oh really? Okay.
That's acceptable. You can hear my song. Can you hear me?
I would prefer that you didn't tune on air, but hey.
I don't have to do things you prefer. Just so you know.
That's
Just so
well
you-
established. I thought you were going to come out.
I'm only muting because Suzanne is here.
Something.
If Suzanne were not here, I would not be muting. Just so you're aware. I want to make that clear.
Thank you for showing consideration for her episode. I really appreciate that. Should he go through with this, Suzanne? Should we?
Oh yeah, I want to. I
Should we
want
allow him to
hear.
hijack your spotlight?
Of course.
Hog
This better be
spotlight.
the. I wonder if this is one that I've heard before.
Is it? I can't tell if I can hear this. Oh, no, because it's not plugged in. Hey, Ryan, I don't know if you knew this, but when you have an electric guitar, you got to plug it in.
Yeah, that does help. That does help the effect of the electric guitar if it's plugged in.
lot, man. It's super helpful.
Beautiful listeners around the world.
There it is. Ah,
Are you loving
I
this
hit the mics.
content?
I think they should be loving it by now. What do you think? Suzanne, are we loving this so far? Does this work for you?
This works.
Yay. All right. Here we go.
What's it called?
You'll know.
That song doesn't make you cringe inside, does it?
Don't turn away. Oh, wait. Don't turn away from me, she said. It's been a long time. Got so much I need to change, I've tried. Can't be all that bad. I don't remember the lyrics in this part. And I don't remember the lyrics here either. I remember the chorus. Here we go. Here's the chorus. It said, you try and learn. You try not to burn. You try, yeah. You try and learn. You try not to burn. You try, yeah.
First of all, I know you're not cringing inside playing that.
What was that?
I know you weren't cringing inside playing that one.
Absolutely. Like every time I sing, you try and learn. You try. It's so cheesy. I have a hard time with it, honestly.
Really? I always
Yeah.
did too. I never.
You always did. You love the solo in that song. How dare you? You liar. You're
I
such a
never
liar.
vocalized it.
You're
but I did
such a
find that
liar.
chorus very corny.
You're doing this in front of Suzanne on purpose. You're such a jerk. No, it's fine. It's fine. Such a jerk.
Maybe it should be an instrumental.
This was, and I just want to point, beautiful listeners, you don't know this, but Ryan also helped me write this song. You know, you were my writing partner on this said cringe song. So, you know, half the blame lies with you. I'm pretty sure you came up with the chorus.
I wrote the lyrics. I did not come. You came up with that.
I didn't write the lyrics. The lyrics wrote themselves. I don't have that choice, man. I don't know what to tell you. I have one that's like really, really old. That Suzanne, I'm not going to play the whole song for you. I'm not going to do that to you, but I'm going to play if I can even remember it. And it's so cringy because it's like my wannabe Nirvana song. Oh, hold on. Cause like, no, I can't play it. Actually, it's been too long. Dang it. It's one of those, it's like, it's been too long and I set it down. And if you don't pick it up and God, what's the oldest song I could even play? I wrote this when I was 16. It's like in the winter when it's so cold that I just cannot breathe. It's like when I'm with you and I don't know if you're going to leave.
To encourage you to perform because then it turns into a concert.
My eyes,
that we're all stuck
and
in.
I don't know if I'll see you again. Leave my eyes, and I don't know if I'll ever be the same. Can you feel the springtime when I'm with you? Or do you only breathe?
This is obviously a bad idea.
And you act like I was nothing, or I'm something that you didn't need. Then you leave my eyes, and I don't know if I'll see you. All right,
God, that was
fun.
An inch and you take
That was good.
That was great. Yeah, that song is called Winter's Song in the Spring. It's super emo and sad, folksy, like country.
Is that the one
Americana
that you roped me in on to play the lead on? It is.
That how dare you? Ryan played that's the one song on my entire solo album that Ryan was willing to contribute anything toward. So he came in the studio and rocked a pretty very, like, I can't even explain to you, Suzanne, like how beautiful Ryan's genius is in his melody, because it's so understated. Like the way he put the solo together, it's like a sixth sense for him. His sense of melody, and it's a very, very simple lead part. Like Ryan is not. It's like Ryan's incapable of overplaying something on the guitar. He knows what to play, when to play, how to play. It's why he's like one of my favorite guitar players of all time, and I mean that sincerely.
No, you don't.
Even he doesn't want to take that.
So corny, man.
You are. You're one of my favorites ever, man. I think you're a legend. You're up there. And if you would get off your butthole and you would record your music with me, then the world would see that and agree with me. But because, you're bum and you don't want to practice. Also, can you bring strings next time? I busted a string.
How do you keep anyway, I apologize, Suzanne.
Sidetrack. Sorry, Suzanne.
It's like giving a child a gun.
Oh, no worries.
You had to know this was going to happen.
End well.
The shenanigans.
Because
you guys are incredibly entertaining.
You picked two songs that are not cringe for you at all.
Not cringe. I'm pretty sure that You Try. I think the name of the song is called You Try. And that's You Try. Really? That's the best you could do for a title for a song, Michael, is You Try.
That's all on you, man.
That's, you had input. You had input and you didn't disagree in the moment. I seem to remember you thinking, oh, this is good. This is fine. Yeah, I like that one. It's good. Like, okay. All right.
Yeah, it was fun to play. The music part was fun to play. Anyway.
Suzanne,
I apologize.
I'm hoping
I didn't think
that after
we were going to get derailed though.
Yeah. I was hoping that you might be willing to share one. Yeah. Would you be willing to read one of your wonderful poems here for the beautiful listeners?
Yeah, I'll read two of them since you did two songs.
Awesome.
So they can
see?
She can cancel
bonus
you out.
You're welcome, Ryan, for playing two songs because now, yeah, okay.
All right, so this first one is basically actually the intro to the book. So if, you know, you were in a bookstore and you found it and you flipped open pages, you would be greeted by this, and maybe it would make you want to read more. It doesn't have a name or anything. A lot of these don't. Hues of you, shades of me, tones of us, cast an everlasting shadow on the pigment of my very soul. That's it. A lot of them are short little prose type poems.
Intriguing.
Yeah, I wanted to sit with the silence on that one after you read it. I wanted a moment.
Yeah, that's
I
the
like
problem.
it.
Like you with poetry,
Yeah.
I feel like you need time.
Yeah, you need a pause after the end of the poem. I feel like it's mandatory.
Hues. What was it? That first line.
Hues of you, shades of
Hues
me,
of you, shades
tones of us, cast an everlasting shadow on the pigment of my very soul. It's a good one.
I like it.
Great. And then let me get the book pulled up again. All right. And then this other one is in the ash gray pages because each chapter is basically a different color. Tell me when you're ready.
Well, we're ready.
Tricks of tainted romance, mistakes of my erroneous reason, imprisoned by the chains of cunning fallacies, captivated by the amusement of misdirection in the sidelines of my life stream, the angst of a heavy heart blackens my mortal virtue. That's on page 48 of the first edition.
There is you brought it up earlier, Michael. There is a pleasant flow to your writing. Do you always know which words to use, or do you sometimes struggle to find the words?
Well, when I was writing this, I was very, very fluid. It was kind of strange. I wrote a lot of them by hand. Usually if I'm writing, I like to type either on a typewriter or a computer. I usually don't write by hand because it can be uncomfortable, but since these are quite short, I wrote a lot of them by hand and the words just kind of came to me. I was in a very good flow with this. I was like very in my head about it, like just, like weaving and creating this like huge pile of poetry. And I was basically like, well, I should probably just make a book of all this. And of course, like not all of them made it into the book, but I think that tells you like how much was just pouring out of me. I would oftentimes have one of my notebooks and a pen with me, and I would kind of just go into these states, like trance-like states, I suppose. And I would wake up the next morning, like having fallen asleep, and like my bed sheets are just stained with pen ink. And like,
that's great.
Yeah. So it was just an interesting time and it really just flowed. Like I write when I feel like I need to. I never really wrote with the intention of making a book, even though I do think that was always something I kind of wanted when I was like a teenager, like I wrote as a teenager, but it's kind of embarrassing, like to put your feelings out there, because for me, like, these hold a lot of meaning. There are ways for you to like let go of things and heal. And so like looking back on it a year later, if not longer. Like, it is difficult to think about those things again. And it's kind of embarrassing, like, because like we were kind of saying earlier, it's kind of like a diary, and it's that personal.
I mean, Suzanne, I can relate heavily to this. I'm curious. Well, I have two things, but one thing, when you mentioned like a lot of times, like the difference between like writing on like out by hand, getting that trance state, and like say a typewriter, I'm so like rhythmically, I don't know if the word is stimulated or what, but like the clickety clack of a typewriter is very hypnotic for me, right?
Yeah,
So
no, it is fun.
does that affect the actual art that comes out of you when you're clickety clacking versus like sitting, you know what I mean? Like sitting on a pad and a pen and paper. Is it different for you? Because I feel there are songs that I write on paper, like what you're describing in that trance state. And I have a weird kind of different trance state thingy that I do if I have a keyboard in front of me. And I mean, I have, not a typewriter, but like, the tap on a whatever computer keyboard. And I write some songs on the keyboard like that. And it's different. I feel like they're different kinds of songs. It's just weird. I was wondering if you experience anything similar to that.
Sometimes, I mean, I did write some of these on a typewriter. And I'm sorry, what was your question again? Kind of got lost.
Just the difference between.
We had that audio. I wish we could hear a typewriter going, because I know what you're talking about.
The click clack.
Yeah.
My question just was that, if you find that when you write a poem using a different method, different medium, if you think it affects the output of the art in some way, any kind of noticeable difference in your art?
It depends, I suppose. Oftentimes it just kind of like is in my head and I have to get it out. And if I can even just write it out or type it, it's fine. It's just sometimes if it's a bigger thought, like typing, I can get it out fast enough.
I see.
Because I can type very fast. And then, so if I'm writing something longer or, stories, thoughts, whatnot, I can type fast and get it out in that way. But, with poetry, I wrote a lot of these quite like slowly, and I got to kind of like sit with them when I was writing them.
Like you're sitting with each line before you move on?
Kind of.
Or do you just like
each word?
Each word even?
I feel like it was for some of these, them being so short, I sat on the words.
That's fascinating.
And like I had like, things I was writing about, things I was thinking about, like images of these things in my mind. But the words came to me and I put them on paper, like just writing them. And then for me, it was very satisfying to do so, because it was like I got that thought or that feeling out in those words.
Seems like that would be satisfying to get a release from whatever's like.
It was just, a release or like a feeling. That's kind of why I had each chapter as a different emotional state and color. Like you could see like, this chapter that I read the last poem from, it's the ash gray pages, and then I included the hue note. Like if you're on like Photoshop or whatever, you can like type in this color and the exact color will come up. And or like, they have websites and stuff that you can do that too. And then it's this particular chapter, I described it as like detached, trapped, and delusional. So that kind of like, it was the feeling of a lot of these poems. Like I really
I'm sorry. There was one that caught me, that kind of, it was the blurring the lines
page
of reality with the dream I refuse to awake from.
Yeah. That's like delusion. It's great. Yeah. So fun.
That's do creatives often find themselves in that state where with the, you know, blurred lines of reality?
I think so. I mean, I know I do.
It's an interesting thought. I'm fascinated with the creative process, you know. It's like I can't hear enough about it. I can't ask enough questions about it because again, where does this coming from? It's like it's a mystical thing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's also just, it's fascinating to, don't you think it's fascinating too, Ryan, to like dissect this in a way, or the way we're doing this, like we're talking about this art form that like, I see so many common threads with like how I feel about writing music. And then I like it, but it's a different thing. It's its own thing. Like poetry and putting a book together is its own beast. And it's its own specialized form of art. Right. And it's fascinating to like be able to look at it and talk about it in a way, like I'm a little removed from it, right? Because I'm not exactly, I've never put a book together. It's not the kind of art that I do, but I have written things down, right? So it's like, okay, I feel some of these similarities, and so that's this. It's just fun to go through, and yeah, man, I 100% agree. And Suzanne, this is so cool to do with you and have you here and kind of like discuss it with you. It's yeah, it's really really neat. I mean, there's a lot of brilliant stuff in here, really.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my first publication. Like I said, it was, like very vulnerable. So it's strange to put it out there, but I kind of, realize that life is kind of short. Like we can plan on living forever, but who knows? So that was why I wanted to put it out there, I suppose, just to kind of like start something.
I admire that. I I went through this car accident recently, and it got me feeling in a similar way. I'm like, I have these songs that I could put out there if I just did it. So
Yeah,
we
just
put a
do
few
it.
out. Yeah. And so the goal is like try to do one a month, and we'll see right how that
When's
goes.
You
But
Try coming out?
You Try, never, second to never. But one thing I wanted to share, the second thing I had in my mind earlier because you were talking about, some of these were, I think you said some of these you wrote when you were in your teens.
Oh, I didn't write these then, but
Oh, okay.
when I was a teenager, that was my escape for sure, was writing.
I understand, like looking back like this and seeing your, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't judge you were saying, hang on, Suzanne, you were saying something. I misjudged that
Oh
pause.
no. Oh no, you're good. Kind of lost. I lost it anyway.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay.
I just find it interesting that, that some art can make you uncomfortable when you release it in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking now, some of the art that has that much emotion infused into it is probably the most potent kind. And,
It's very
most
powerful.
consumers aren't going to have that context to really they're not going to have the context to maybe understand it or look at it exactly the way that you do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of these, I don't think anybody will have the same perspective that I do about it, because it is so vague. And to me, I know like what or who these poems, are about. Like that's kind of like a lot of my muses or inspirations are generally people that I'm like romantically involved with, or like, that broke my heart. Generally, like I create my best when I'm a little bit brokenhearted. But there's some happy poems in here too. There's a couple chapters that are a little bit, that's more of their theme, is that they're like more romantic or like positive. But I tend to write about those things which generally, no one else is really going to know that unless, they are the subject of the poem. They may, know that, or they might not. So I think that the meaning to a lot of these, like, really only I'm going to know. And then it's just kind of left to the person to how it resonates with them, if they can relate to it with something that they went through, something that they felt. And some of these, there's a few chapters in here that are just more like reflections on life. I feel like the last one I read was like slightly philosophical. Like, I wrote it, just to capture a feeling, like being in the sidelines of my life's dream, like captivated by the amusement of misdirection in those sidelines. Like, it's like a humor about something that's actually like very dark. Something that I was going through in my life, being so disappointed and like loyal to things that are just very like misleading and bad for me. And then that angst of a heavy heart blackens my mortal virtue. Like, a lot of thought went into that, and the words, like, I kind of just sat with the words, and yeah. But to me, what that poem holds, or any of these holds, like, it's, I don't really think anyone else is going to have it resonate, at least not in the same way. But that's kind of the nice thing about like poetry and writing is, like, a lot of people can relate to these things. We all have our unique experiences and heartbreaks, and a lot of times we can connect over such feelings too. So,
well, Suzanne, you ever like drop a big rock in a pond and watch the ripples?
Yeah. I mean, like, I've done it before.
Right. Yeah. And that initial impact is the weight that I was talking about, this impact, right? When I just opened it up and just scammed, like, just scrolled through and just stop where I stopped, right? Like whatever drew me. And you're right. Like, only you as the artist have that weight of that initial impact, that pond going into the stream, but all those ripples outward are these reverberations of like, think of it like, I don't know how well you might know music, but like octaves and pitch. Like, it's the same pitch, just an octave above. So they're in tune with each other, so to speak. And these vibrations move out in such a way that it resonates with other people. I would say on like similar wavelengths. Maybe they haven't been through your experience, or they don't have all right. They don't know all the what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have all the context. That's the word I'm looking for. They don't have the context, right? But because it comes from such an emotional place for you, that has all this weight to it, they don't need the context. That's the beautiful thing about human art. You don't need the context. Like with good art like this, you can literally just absorb it. And it's like when you see a really beautiful painting that's just moving, that'll move you to tears, right? This gorgeous painting that you're looking at in this museum. You're like, how is it this is crazy. Someone did this. And you don't know the context, but you create your own interpretation of it in that moment, that it moves you in some way. And that's what art's supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm glad that that it resonates with you in any kind of way. Yeah, it's very strange to put out a book, It also especially it's so vulnerable. Like, it's just, like a diary in a way.
It does also seem like there are times where consumers get it right as far as the true bottom line meaning, and like you said, most of the time people are gonna take it in through their filter, and it's gonna mean to them whatever it needs to mean,
right?
And that's great. That's part of the emotional value of art, but also the entertainment value, that we can get trying to figure out what we think it means, or deciding what it means to us.
Yeah.
which is part of the fun, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree.
It's like, how many songs have you heard where you're wondering, like, what were they really talking about? Like, what did they really mean? Or were they just writing something, and it's arbitrary? It's very interesting.
It is.
I don't know, man. I don't think does the arbitrary stuff resonate. I think that's why you can tell why does some music and some lyrics strike you in a way that cuts you deep, and others it's like surface level, like surface layer. I think it depends on who wrote it and where they were when they did it. Was it something they wrote as it was a task, or was it like what Suzanne's been describing, right? And I would say it echoes exactly how I feel about certain songs, like all my songs. Really, it's just like it's this creation that has to come out of me, like much like a giving birth to a child, right? Like the child's got to get out. Like that's what happens when nature makes babies, right? And it has to happen. It's not like a thing I get to choose. It's like this stuff has to come out of me.
Because I am so connected and overwhelmed in a pleasant way by music, by the sonic nature of it. My brain tends to zone in so much on that the lyrics are kind of secondary.
Huh.
So the lyrics don't really cut me, but when I read a poetry book, for example, the music isn't there to overwhelm the words, so the words can hit me in a way that when I listen to music, the lyrics are just not gonna hit me.
Yeah, you're right though. That's right. I mean, it's different too. You get to come up with your own music, same just like you get to come up with your own picture when you read poetry.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and that silence, just like okay, you paused after, like Suzanne, you paused and you read. It's the same thing. It's like music wouldn't be music if you didn't have silence. And that silence when you consume lyrics, like in poetry and prose and like just the words, it has its own impact. It's utterly unique. Like it has its own. This is why like stand-up comedian, that's cool. You listen to the words, you laugh. It's like involuntary laughter response. That's why like when you read a really good piece of literature, like why it can hold your imagination in such a way. I feel like it's its own thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm sorry. I'm just really enjoying this whole thing. It's a lot of fun for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do see like what you're saying. Sorry, I'm just like kind of flipping through it as well. So
I am too. Every time you talk, I'm like, all right, you and Ryan are talking. I'm like skipping through it. I go back. I'm like, I want to read this one. I found another one I really like. Can I read this one? I don't know.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Is that okay? It's on 82.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, like this is like, the first edition is with the Library of Congress and whatnot. So it's not like it's like totally hidden. Not totally hidden.
Not totally.
I just took it off of Amazon and whatnot. But, it'll be back out there. I may release the first edition at some point, but I just wanted to refine it a little bit with the second edition.
Gotcha.
But go ahead and read it. Yeah, that's why I gave it to you guys. Go for it.
White pages, innocence, curiosity, ecstasy, and bliss. So this is, I think I'm in the right section. 82. Let's find a place to go where the paranoia stops, the little fevers cool, and our aching heads can rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Very short. Like I definitely could have kept going. And like some of these, when I originally wrote them, they were longer, but I just made them short like that because that's kind of the format of the book I wanted. There's a few long ones.
It's almost better that way.
I liked it.
More to think about.
I like that there's a variety. Some are like shorter, like those were 4 lines. Then you have some that are 8, and then you have some that are longer. And I like that intermixed in. Like I really, really, visually it's very striking. The way it's laid out on the page. So it does pull you in that way. And it's a lot of fun
though, because where is that place? Is it a physical location or is it a mental location?
Right.
I mean, it's really interesting. Here. Where is the place that's pulling you in? Yeah. Where is it?
Yeah. I mean, or is it a person? Is it just, who knows? Or yeah, there's all kinds of things that place could be.
Fascinating. The dead air ponder moment.
Yeah, I needed the silence. I really did. It's and I'm still scrolling through it. I'll be honest with you. This whole time I've been kind of like in and out of it.
Also, Suzanne, what fascinates you about eyes?
I mean, that's like a person's soul.
Hmm.
Eyes both like freak me out and fascinate me.
Freak you out?
Yeah, like I for the longest time would not get contact lenses because it freaked me out. But now I can handle that like touching of the eye, just like eyes being so delicate, they kind of like always just like freaked me out a bit. Like imagery of like, you know, like eyes being held open and things would always kind of like make me like squirm.
You ever seen Clockwork Orange?
Right. So like
Yeah,
that kind of
like
that would
that.
just make
I
me
can
squirm
relate
a
to
bit.
that.
Yeah, it's a bit squirmy, you know, like yeah. So
that scene was the worst.
but they also just fascinate me. Like that's somebody's like I feel, you know, there's that saying that eyes are the windows to the soul or whatever, and like I do kind of feel that way about them. And like, you know, when you are looking at somebody's eyes, it can make you feel a certain way, whether it's like good or bad, frustrated, you know, like
It's all
kinds
communicated
of things.
there. Yeah,
Right.
that's so right.
Like eye contact in general, like is like a very interesting thing. So like the feelings that can come from that like contact and that like vulnerability of like looking into somebody's eyes. It's just fascinating to me. Like, I don't know. The eyes are like, even just in my like photos, there's a lot of eyes, mouths, eyes and mouths, you know, like lips, flesh in general, I suppose too, but,
Flesh in general.
yeah, it's all very interesting. And like they all kind of give you a different feeling. Like like a mouth is like a very sensual, like feeling, but it's like, and eyes are like, you know, eyes can be all kinds of things, but it's all like human, and we can all relate to it and like understand it to some degree, but it's still very like mysterious too. And I don't know, so it's fascinating to me. And like I include a lot of like eyes and like mouths in my writing, you know, obviously it comes up in my bit more visual artistic avenues. You know, the Red film, that was pretty much, you know, with me totally not meaning to recreate almost Alfred Hitchcock's intro to Vertigo. I had never seen the film when I had this idea and, you know, come to my mind. But it's very focused on the face, you know, eyes and mouths, or eye and mouth. But yeah, like even in the Red series, very focused on the eyes and the mouth. There's just something to it, to me, that it's hard to explain.
Well, I mean, Suzanne, there've been eyes and mouths for untold eons before there were ever humans. Like it's such a weird like type of life. No, I mean, I know it sounds so, but like any kind of life out there that most life that we recognize as life, like they have eyes, they have mouths. You know, most organisms eat, consume, and a lot of organisms have eyesight, right? It's this very primal thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very primal. Yeah.
I've heard it said, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I have noted is how powerful the eyes can be just in a very physical way. Like if I put in contacts that are very abnormal, how it can change my appearance so drastically, like more so than change like clothes or anything else. Like if I put on contacts that are just pure red or pure black, how that
the different colors.
Yeah. So there's something to that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they're very powerful.
Powerful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some of those crazy contacts. I wanted to wear them just to see people's reactions, but I'm so paranoid I'm going to hurt myself when I put them on. I never put them on. But yeah, there's something to that. Definitely.
Yeah, and also going back to the eyes thing, like the cover of the first edition is a Polaroid of my eye with some, torn up rose petals. But yeah, once again, there's the eye. So it's just something that like I see a lot in my work. They fascinate me for one reason or the other.
So for the whole time we've been talking about the eyes, there's a quote that I've been looking for, an Alan Watts quote that's been burning. I'm like, man, what is this quote? And I finally found it and I want to share it. But he says that everybody's eyes is a piece of jewelry beyond compare. And that, like, you don't think of it as this jewel, but like the eyes are like this crown jewel on a person. You know what I mean? And I love that imagery of it being this piece of jewelry. It's something that you can't buy in a store, but the eyes are one of the most beautiful things out there too. Like someone's eyes are a beautiful thing, like a piece of jewelry almost.
Yeah, it definitely can be.
And it's these weird like windows. It's like that's the center of it. That's where window into what? Consciousness, into this other person you're looking at. How do you know what you're looking at is this person you looking in their eyes? Are they real, or are they a figment of your imagination? Are they, is this all just an elaborate dream? You wake up.
It's funny, or like when you do this and you can't see a person.
Put sunglasses on. Yeah, it's a different effect.
Like you're able to conceal a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, it's so true.
It is a layer. So there's something to that, man. Maybe it's beyond us all, right?
Maybe.
Here we are getting philosophical yet again, huh?
I can't help it.
It's inevitable, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been a theme on this show. Like, I feel like it comes up a bit when we speak.
It's a philosophy show. Let's just, let's stop lying about it.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not philosophizing. I'm just having fun. Like this is just, I'm entertained. I'm just entertaining and entertained, all at the same time. And
Huh?
Yes, I'm entertained. Yes, entertained.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to, right the ship after I gave you the keys to the Ferrari and you wrecked it.
Yeah.
No, it's not true. Oh boy, here we go.
The thing is, it's still plugged in though, Ryan. So like,
no, it's not.
You say that, yeah, it's plugged in right here.
No.
So I could just at any time, I could just open her up here and let the beautiful listeners hear maybe like a new tune that I've been working on. And you want, I could do that too. Do you want to just? I could cut in at any time, but I don't because I respect the conversation. Okay, all right. Just to do the one.
Getting excited.
I would never disrespect.
I do have new riffs
by playing on it,
but I won't play the riffs because, it like you said, Suzanne, it needs time. It needs time. But just wait, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, no, it's always good to put time into things. If that is available to you. But I've always been like a firm believer in putting in more time into things rather than rushing just to be like, look, I created something. I'm like creating stuff. Like you can create things in a closet, like just create, like make something like, that's just To each their own, but I would rather, if
That's good while you're learning. Like it's good when you're young and you're learning and you're in middle school or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Working on a concept for me, if I'm just creating to create like Instagram content, yeah, I'm doing it, whatever. It's fun. But when you're working on something that you feel strongly about, that, when you think about it and you envision these things, it needs, you need to do it justice sometimes. So it's better to put that time and sometimes even like finances to get the right resources to create those things, which is like kind of, like the situation for me in regards to my upcoming film works that are in pre-production. I may be in pre-production longer than others, instead of rushing into a production that's very like low quality compared to what I want to be doing for those projects. So, yeah.
I think it's important to...
It's worth it.
Yeah, like to find...
Yeah.
It's needed sometimes, or else, like I didn't even feel like I did this first edition enough justice. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, yeah, but I want to make sure if it's a project that I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and, risked a lot of my life for, that I'm going to do a good job and it's going to resonate and with, like how I want it to. And also just, I envision these things in my mind. So I need to translate that correctly rather than, taking what I'm seeing in my mind and making the quality low just so I can make it accessible to people more quickly. Like sometimes time is needed and better to put into these things so that what I'm envisioning in my mind is what is being seen in this world, that we live in. I need it to be as close as to what I'm envisioning, and sometimes that takes time and resources that take time.
That's okay.
Right.
Every seed has a gestation period, a necessary gestation period. So you don't have to rush things.
Yeah, and some people, like they want to get these things out there because money's involved and they want to get profits and a timeline with, the money that's being spent, whatever. And for me, like money is not, money is interesting. And like, I actually have a poem, I suppose, that could kind of go along with the theme of money and how I think about it. But actually it's on page 37 of the first edition. But yeah, I don't know. Money is complicated. I just got lost in that. But I don't create for money. Of course, I want to be able to live. Who doesn't? And do what I'm good at. But I don't create with those intentions. So it's rather the opposite. You go without a lot most of the time as an artist.
Page 37.
Being a starving artist, like for lack of a better words, like that's kind of how it is. You usually work a day job or two as well, but sometimes that time, like, it pains you as an artist to realize you're wasting time and the world is just running on money and they don't fucking get it. Like,
May I read 37?
Yeah, absolutely.
Flawed loyalty and blind faith leave me in the shackles of my exploitation. And I found one on 96 that sort of fits this theme. If you don't mind, can I read it too?
Of course. I think this is one I'm taking out, but you can go for it.
Sold my soul.
Wow, this is
for the thrill of such a discount.
Yeah, that one like takes a while because it doesn't. I don't know if it translates, but it's a feeling, definitely. Not necessarily a good one, but yeah, it's something I needed to put out there. And I think there's another one. I don't know what page it's on. It might be a similar feeling. And of course, there's more that I haven't published, and a lot of my newer like visuals have, you know, been along this theme, something I experience and something that has been a very big test of survival. You know, like it doesn't bother a lot of people because they're in this for different reasons. You know, they want a big name, they want the billboards, they want the money. But for me, it's just a bit different. So, you know, and I have to express that because it's a big burden. So it's leaked into some of these pages. I didn't want it to. Like, you know, those are things I tried to always kind of keep to myself to be resilient in the industry. But life is short, and like, why would I censor myself and like try and play social butterfly when, to, you know, like it's not me. Like I'm not like an LA person that's going out to the right bars to meet the right people and all this stuff. I love LA, but not for that. Like I'm not an LA person in that regard at all. And it's difficult to be around all that sometimes as an artist. And like, you know, I wanted to get those viewpoints out there, but I try not to rant about it. Of course I have, but yeah, so it's
Rant away.
but it's, you know, some of, well, I'm going to try, and I'm being candid, but I'm going to try not to be as dangerous as last time. But
Dangerous.
it was dangerously candid. But
Yeah, we encourage it.
but yes, I expressed that a lot. That feeling of all of that.
We want the spiral. We want the.
Yeah, the inside the sound is a safe place to be dangerously candid.
Oh,
True.
Oh no. Okay.
You know, do you think it's just because of the finite nature of this life, and when you have things you want to do, the way that it's structured and how important earning money is, it's like how much time do you have to dedicate just to earning money that you could be dedicating to your craft but because of the way our society is structured, we can't dedicate ourselves 100% to what we really want to do.
You know, it's really bad.
I definitely tried to for periods of time, and I've, you know, done it for periods of time, and like it doesn't, like other people like don't respect that. They just like bring it back to money. But
it is not respected. That is very much true.
And if you're going to spend that much time, like Bukowski spoke quite a bit on this about starving for art, and like you know, like I find that very inspiring too. But
you know, there's one of his quotes that I'll find it.
Yeah, he said something about like you sacrifice things to get that time. You starve for that time, and like it's true. Like I've been there. Like I kind of am there right now. And you know, I did it to myself, but you know, like I couldn't bear to just not do that too. Like it's a big burden. It hurts, like physically. Sometimes it's like a demon on your back.
Demon on your back.
It's like we've talked about it so many times. It's like, what if I don't want to live a life that looks like everyone else's? You know, why can't
get a real job, man?
Okay? And it'll never be okay, it feels like, you know.
And I mean, sometimes you do get real jobs, you know, like you kind of have to, but you know.
That's what I was going to say, Suzanne. Like that's sometimes the problem with the real job is sometimes if you get a good one and it's too comfy, like as an artist, if you're like, you know, you talk about like sometimes the stuff like has to come from suffering. Like it seems like the stuff that's really impactful and really beautiful and really like that's going to like move the needle artistically, a lot of times comes through heartbreak and suffering and all these things. And when you get that sweet, fat monthly check, it shows up and you actually have a good job and you don't work that many hours, is that you actually have plenty of time to yourself. But it's like, man, I could just order DoorDash instead, or I could, work on this beautiful thing that moves, or I could just whatever just screw off today. It's weird. It's so weird. It's weird. It's this weird dance that you have to like find. You have to be able to pay your bills.
I found
you gotta
it. I actually did a little research on Bukowski because of you, Suzanne, because I didn't really know much about him.
Oh, I love that.
But his mentality I relate a lot to, just his loathing the normal life,
Yeah.
But he said, I have one of two choices: stay in the post office and go crazy, or stay out here and play writer and starve. I've decided to starve because I just worked at the post office for many years and loathed it.
Yeah. So no, I love that.
But it's like, what are you gonna?
It's a dangerous way to live, but I definitely teeter that brink. I'm not like a alcoholic like him. Otherwise, I probably would be on the park bench, like totally risking it in 2022. But I've definitely his life philosophy is very fascinating to me, and I definitely feel like I've modeled a lot of myself after him. Like, I've really loved him since I was like a teenager. Just his honesty and the grit of his work. I love it. Just him as a person is fascinating. Hearing him talk and everything. My cat is named Henry, and Henry Chinansky is his alter ego.
Right. Yeah, I remember looking that up because I believe one of your cats.
Yeah.
You name it, and I was
Did I tell you about that already?
I'm like, who is Henry Chinansky? Should I know this? But yeah, I think maybe a lot of people in our space would find that very relatable, though. A lot of that. Feeling
he's been canceled though, because he's talked quite I don't know, disrespectfully about women. So there's quite a few people that have canceled Bukowski, but I mean it is what it is.
Have you heard of Akira the Don and his Bukowski stuff? Have you heard of any of the Meaning Wave? Do you know anything about this?
Don't think so.
So he was a rapper. He is a rapper and a producer, DJ guy. He's from England. He's been on the show. He's a very successful musician, creator. He has a huge following, all that. He's a cool guy. And so what he does is he takes really interesting and intellectually stimulating different talks and lectures and from all kinds of sources, but all kinds of really interesting people. And one of the ones he's taken is Bukowski, and he makes it into music. And so he's got one that's called the Genius of the Crowd, another one called Born.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, right? He takes these words from Bukowski and it's very hypnotic what he does with it. That's how I had not heard of him before. I had not heard of Bukowski before Akira the Don. And so it's really cool. You might like it. It's a very chill vibe. It's very cool.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I do have a question that's surfacing in relation to all that. Is it irresponsible of a person? Is it being whimsical or whatever to just want to live your dream and whatever your life looks like in that process? It feels like it's, in most people's eyes,
by some standards it could be, but it depends how people view life though. Everybody views life differently. As I kind of have realized my true passions and what I'm truly good at, I've tried to like make that, you know, like what I'm going to do in life. Like I don't really have a plan B. Like I don't really think I should allow myself to have a plan B because that would lead me to like off myself. And like Bukowski kind of like felt a similar way about things. But like as I've gotten older, like I kind of realized that too. Like I'm still only 28, but I can't have a plan B. Like it won't sit well with me. Like I you know, like it's hard to realize you only have one life, and like the human body like is a weird thing because like when you're like working from the mind so much, like you don't really feel the body and you put it through hell, and like you know, you don't realize that's your lifeline, like when you're like not thinking that way. But with that being said, like you know, we only have a limited amount of time on earth and we don't know how long that is. Like, you know, um I want to create and like try and benefit the world in that way, because me like working as like a salesperson or in a office for some, you know, whatever, like I'm not going to help the world. I'm going to help someone make money, you know, like, and it's also difficult because like, do I want to be in an industry where people just use me and make money off of me? Like, but you know, what other choice do you really have but to like, you know, try to express yourself and deal with that too, because like that is the way the world works. And if you're going to be an artist and make money doing it, like, you know, it becomes this whole other monster, like this whole machine, really.
It's a machine, but at least there's a lot of options for independent artists and people who are creating all kinds of different forms of art now have things like Patreon and what these other, you know, YouTube, and there's other ways to monetize that. There's a lot less there's still plenty of gatekeepers, of course, right? Like there's going to be people still get canceled. Unfortunately, these things do happen, but there's still never been a better time to be able to develop a unique audience that's in tune with your perspective on the world, your mindset, your art, your what you're up to. That's, I mean,
yeah, I mean, you have to kind of think too, like the intentions of canceling a person. Like generally, like, you know, there are a lot of like things that are like not true that, you know, people can say to try and cancel somebody, and like, you know, things that they can manipulate to like have this narrative of why we should cancel somebody. Like sometimes people are like should be canceled in some regards, like, you know, Harvey Weinstein, like, you know, things like that, like deserve attention, like, you know, men in power preying on women, like, you know, men in power in general is a huge problem. And like, I will not deny that. And like holding men responsible for preying on women because with their power, like, you know, I support that fully. But, you know, it's also like, you know, the Johnny Depp trial, like all these things. People can lie to try and, you know, often successfully ruin somebody. So, and like even, you know, the concept of canceling Henry Chinansky, or sorry, no,
Down with Henry.
Charles Bukowski, like, you know, people want to cancel him. Pepe Le Pew, like it was like a whole thing. Like he didn't make it into like a Space Jam film, I think. Something like that.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, he got canceled. Like, and I was quite a fan of him.
He was a little overzealous. Cut him some slack.
Yeah.
With a French accent.
You know, but yeah, no, I found it inspiring. And soon after he was canceled, and like, I mean, yeah, I guess I get it. But you know, the point is that it's become like trendy to cancel people, and it's really just like press to some regard too. It's just all like part of the machine, really. Like, oftentimes, you know, like it's just these things are like sensational and like very strange, and like I only feel like it's good in like a progressive way to like call out men in the industry that are abusing their power, things like that. like that is worthwhile to me. You know, like people hurting people is wrong, like, but you know, like these things are strange, and like, you know, I think we saw that with like that trial and like the debate over like who's lying and who's the better actor and like all these things, and like it's just all a very strange sensational thing that is like a part of the culture now.
Yeah, it's like, why do we even care, really?
Canceling people. Yeah.
I
I mean, I think I think everybody will be canceled. Like, you know, like let's just cancel each other.
Good. Does that mean I don't?
Canceled?
Yeah. Does that mean I don't have to look at commercials?
Canceled.
That's not happening, right? Does that mean I don't have to see commercials anymore?
The next 3 years or so, I'm just going to spend plotting against you so I can cancel you.
Great. You won't be the first. It won't be the last.
Right. It's a thing. It's like literally a thing. It's disgusting. But
It also seems like
a couple of nice guys like us. I don't even know.
Looking for the next thing to be outraged about, even if they don't really care, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got me thinking, how can I outrage people now? What can I do?
What can we do to get canceled?
What's going to be it, Suzanne? How can you help us with this?
Oh, yeah. No, I kind of think I do that all the time, especially with me being so candid. I'm just waiting to be canceled. But
I mean, we did discuss R. Kelly last time, I think, and Michael.
Yeah, it came up.
Some good stuff.
Is that going to get us good things? Yeah, it's just
we weren't as dangerous this time around, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm like not as like caffeinated is probably the thing.
So the answer, the solution is more drugs, more caffeine gets us to the spot we need to be.
And sleep deprivation.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, all those things. Yeah, I was going through different. I've been like getting up early or trying to at least. I'm definitely like still like going through it, and, like spiraling constantly, but like, you know, it's just more controlled. Like I have more structure than I think I did at the interview. But
I'm like in preparation for this. I haven't slept in 5 days.
I didn't. I kind of was like, oh shoot, let me send you this email. So like, I didn't get to like do that.
Well, really grateful that you did. It was really cool.
We should do that. Yeah, we should come into our next conversation. You know, at least 3 days sleep deprived.
Sure, man. That sounds like fun.
I mean, I don't know if I can do 3 days sleep deprived, but like, I mean, I'll just throw off my sleep schedule. Like, I'll just go nocturnal. Like, that usually does it for me.
Go nocturnal.
It's easy to do, man.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do.
Yeah, that's usually what I do now because I can't really stay up like I used to. But you know, I'll like cut the hours a little bit or something, and like just go nocturnal. We'll have to like interview at night. I mean, we kind of are. We'll just push it back more.
We accidentally
we'll start it at midnight. Before. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We have.
Do you remember? Conversation at like 2 or 3 a.m. or something.
I can't. I apologize. I can't remember which guest it was. Yeah, but we've talked to people all over the world, and so there was one that we were like, "Why did we agree to this?" Was it 2 a.m?
Who's the idiot that?
Who's the jerk that thought that 2 a.m. was going to be an acceptable time to wake up and try and do business and conduct a conversation? I don't know who came up with that idea, but the time zone thing rears its ugly head yet again. The time bandits that we are here in Arizona, we don't practice daylight savings, so it is a nightmare. Trying to like half the year trying to figure out this next person we're going to talk to, and I don't know, they could be in a country all the way to the other side of the world. We're like, okay, well, let's figure this out. Where are you exactly? What time zone?
Right.
It's fun stuff. 2 a.m.
So is there anything in particular, Suzanne, that you want to give people heads up on to look forward to? I know you said you're taking your necessary time on a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, things are definitely happening. I also try not to like say too much because I've kind of learned my lesson a bit with like, people trying to cut you off on the road or whatever, so to speak. You give too much away, someone's going to run with it and try and like make it their thing. Unfortunately, that's, how things work. Sometimes people like don't have their own ideas, but so I don't really want to say too much, but like I am working on these poetry books, releasing them. They've been written, which is why it's a bit strange releasing them now, but and then some other projects in terms of writing and film. I've been working on that for some time. So like, films that are a bit longer than the very short art films I've made. Yeah. And I mean, I'm like very inspired being in Los Angeles. The fact that I have to hold this umbrella over my laptop right now is like a beautiful thing. I'm like very happy that it's raining in LA today.
Wait, so this whole time you've been holding your umbrella over the laptop just to do this?
Yes, a very kind stranger gave me an umbrella, which was like is needed. And I'm just, once we get off the air and I don't have like technology, I'll probably just lay in the rain a bit. Just walk a bit.
I'm
Thank you.
very grateful that you made it happen even in the all weather conditions to come join us again on Inside the Sound, Suzanne. It's really freaking cool. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question of what I'm working on. Yeah, I'm working on a lot of things, wrapping up projects that I've conceptualized last year, as well as conceptualizing new things, definitely very inspired to create new things, and especially like right now in this rain. So lots of like old things that will finally be produced in terms of film, and then new things as well that I'm working on. Like hopefully going to work on projects much bigger than my solo projects. So yeah, all kinds of things in the works for me. Looking to dabble more in acting, but like my primary focus long term is working on my own projects in film and writing. But yeah, so lots of different things. I've been like taking some Polaroids again. So, just all over creativity. Still kind of red, a little bit of green still too. Still very Christmas.
Christmas.
Most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the Grinch or something. Like I don't know, but
The Grinch is my spirit animal.
yeah.
Why did your spirit animal have a spirit animal? Remember the little dog? Okay, all right, sorry. There's a little dog. Okay.
What?
Animal. Sorry, the Grinch has a little dog, so your spirit animal has its own spirit animal, which seems excessive, Ryan. Okay, I'm sorry.
I have
Suzanne,
no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea either. We're excited, and please keep writing. This is really, really good, and it's really quite a privilege for you to have shared it with us.
Intriguing.
Yeah, I'm still in the process of reacting to it. It's I can't wait to dive in and actually like take some time with it. It's really cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's very strange for me to read it again, especially like being like so far from where I was when I wrote this, like those feelings and those emotions, there's quite a bit of distance from them now. So going back is very interesting, and it'll be interesting to release it and like talk about it more, since it is so like, far behind me, but it's nice to let it go. Like, I don't know, maybe that's why I didn't send you it like so much sooner. I was like still so apprehensive, even though like, it's a thing already. Like I already like gave it to the Library of Congress, but I like
Well, it's
haven't discussed it, like so it was but it's nice to let it go.
The cat's out of the bag.
It's
now.
compelling, Suzanne. It's very compelling. It's undeniable. Like just even what I went through was like, you're gonna pause.
That's
yeah,
a good word for
yeah.
it. Yeah,
It's compelling. I'm excited for the second edition, and yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for making the time again. Well, usually this is where I do like to ask if there's any other wisdom, what we call, I guess, any words of wisdom that you might be able or willing to share. It doesn't have to be about art. It can be about anything you so desire. But do you have any words of wisdom that you might be so gracious as to share with some of our beautiful listeners?
I'm not sure. Let me think. I don't know. Just stay like true to yourself and authentic to yourself. If you're I don't know, experience the world around you. Like I'm about to go experience this rain. I think that's a great thing that people should do.
Experience the rain.
And just stay in the moment, like simplify things to like nature a bit more. It's like something I suppose I'm trying to do. And like,
can I add on to that? Can I add on? I had a word of wisdom thought. I don't usually add in my words of wisdom at the end of the show, but I will. I'm going to call an audible, Ryan. Experience the rain, sit in the silence, like sit with the silence. It's sometimes like just after you read like a poem and you sit before you do something else and you have that silence. I think that's part of it. I think being in the moment sometimes is like learning to sit with silence and what that does to you, so that's my 2 cents, extra cents. Here's your change.
Being in the moment is you wouldn't think you'd have to learn how to do it, or be conscious of it.
Oh, that's pretty. You wouldn't think you would have. Yeah, you wouldn't think you'd have to learn how to do it. That's good. That's good too. Man, you guys.
That is true. It is so something fun. You have to learn.
This is a good one. I really, really appreciate both of you. I loved it. It's fun. I love getting to do this. This is like one of my favorite things to do in the world is have these kind of conversations. Ryan, I know you somewhere have some extra words of wisdom you might be willing to share. Do you think is that possible? Is there something else that you might be able to help us out with? I'm wondering.
Let's just be wild and free, baby.
Wild and free. I agree.
That right there is the best place to do that.
Do what?
At a picnic table in an undisclosed location.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Desert picnic.
Mm-hmm.
Again, special guest Suzanne. So cool to have you back for the historic, the third trip. Ryan, it's just always cool to have you around here. Well, not always. Sometimes you complain, but that's fine. I'm not judging you for those complaints. Folks, we love you. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. Was there something else you wanted to? You were going to say something? I saw the microphone come up.
I was.
I'm sorry. I that was a total accident. I hit the button and it went. I'm so sorry. Please.
Dangerously candid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't
wait,
be
wait, wait,
avoided.
wait. It's the stop recording button.